Happy National Tell a Fairy Tale Day. Good morning, my name is Aaliyah from Express International. Today we have a special story for you. The Little Red Riding Hood, sourced from the Enchanting collection Fairy Tales for Girls, retold by Nick Ellsworth, illustrated by Stephen Aitken, Sahin Erkocak, Marcy Ramsey, Rees, and Elena Selivanova. Housed in the Ghana National Library. Page 28. Once upon a time, there was a nice little girl who lived with her mother in a nice little cottage at the edge of a deep, dark forest. The girl was known as Little Red Riding Hood because she always wore a beautiful red cape with a hood. One day, her mother called to her from the kitchen. "Little Red Riding Hood, Granny's not feeling very well. Will you take her some goodies I've packed for her?" "Of course I will," said Little Red Riding Hood, who loved her granny very much. She ran downstairs and peeked in the basket her mother had packed. It was full of delicious things. There were homemade cookies, a jam tart, some cherry muffins, and to finish it all off, the biggest, reddest apple that Little Red Riding Hood had ever seen. Granny's cottage lay on the other side of the forest. "Now remember," said Little Red Riding Hood's mother, "keep to the path and don't talk to any strangers." "I won't," replied Little Red Riding Hood. And picking up the basket, she skipped merrily out the door. It was a lovely day, and Little Red Riding Hood sang a merry tune to herself as she made her way along the path. A little while later, when she was in the deepest, darkest part of the forest, she saw some pretty flowers growing in a small clearing just off the path. "I'm sure Mother wouldn't mind if I went off the path for a minute to pick some flowers. Granny would love them," she thought. She had a quick look around, didn't see anyone, so ran to the little clearing where she started to pick the flowers. But hiding behind a tree was a mean wolf who was hungry and looking for his dinner. In one swift movement, he was at Little Red Riding Hood's side. "Hello, my dear," he said in his most charming voice. "What a beautiful day it is. I see you're picking flowers. May I help you?" Little Red Riding Hood was startled to see the wolf at first, but he seemed so friendly and had such a lovely, deep voice. Her fears faded away. "I'm picking them for my granny. She's not very well. I'm taking her this basket of food." "What a lovely thing to do," exclaimed the wolf, thinking that if he was clever, he might be able to eat the girl, her granny, and the basket of food for his dinner. "I've got an idea," said the wolf. "Why don't I run ahead and give the basket to your granny while you finish picking your pretty flowers? Then we can all meet at her house. "That's a very good idea," said Little Red Riding Hood. "She lives a little farther up the path in the first cottage." "That's settled then," said the wolf, taking the basket from her. "By the way, what's your name?" "Little Red Riding Hood," she answered. "Charmed to meet you, my dear," said the wolf with a big, wide grin. "See you soon." And he set off down the path towards Granny's cottage, licking his lips. When the wolf arrived at Granny's cottage, he knocked on the door. "Hello? Is there anyone at home?" shouted the wolf in his best little girl's voice. Who's there? Asked Granny, tucked up in bed. It's me, Granny, said the wolf, Little Red Riding Hood. Come in, dear, said Granny. I'm in bed. The wolf opened the door and ran upstairs into Granny's bedroom. You're not Little Red Riding Hood, exclaimed Granny. You're absolutely right, said the wolf. And before she had a chance to say anything else, he leaped over to her bedside, opened his mouth as wide as he could, and gobbled Granny right up. And now for Little Red Riding Hood, thought the wolf. He put on Granny's shawl, nightcap, and glasses as fast as he could and dived into the bed. What a clever wolf I am, he chuckled to himself. A short time later, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at Granny's cottage and knocked on the door. Who's there? Asked the wolf in his best Granny voice. It's me, Granny, Little Red Riding Hood, said Little Red Riding Hood. Let yourself in, dear, said the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood opened the door and went straight up into Granny's bedroom. What big eyes you have, said Little Red Riding Hood. All the better to see you with, my dear, replied the wolf. What big ears you have, said Little Red Riding Hood. All the better to hear you with, my dear, replied the wolf. And what big teeth you have, said Little Red Riding Hood. All the better to eat you with, said the wolf, and leaped out of bed and gobbled her up in an instant. Still feeling hungry, the wolf also ate all the food in the basket. Then he gave a huge burp. But a woodcutter working nearby had heard all the noise coming from Granny's cottage. He burst through the door, and when he saw the wolf, killed him with one mighty blow of his axe, then slit open the wolf's tummy, and Little Red Riding Hood and her granny popped out, alive and well. They were so relieved to be rescued, they hugged each other tightly. Thank you, said Granny to the woodcutter. I'm only happy that you and Little Red Riding Hood are safe, replied the woodcutter. I hope this teaches you never to talk to strangers again, said Granny to Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood promised she wouldn't, and she never did, however charming and helpful they seemed to be. The end. And that brings us to the end of our story. Thanks for listening. Again, all of our books, including today's feature, can be borrowed from the Guyana National Library. Remember to subscribe to our channel for notifications when new books are added. Your reader today from Express International, Aaliyah, saying goodbye now.